All right, this module we're going to talk about aggression. So in this video, I'm going to go over the basic terms and types of aggression so that that's pretty clear as you read the rest of the chapter. You'll notice that the outline is pretty bare, and that's because I think it was kind of repetitive for me to fill out that outline for you. I want you to make sure that you read and just understand each of those, but the outline will hopefully help you organize the material. All right, let's go. First thing, physical aggression. That's probably the one that we think of the most when we hear the word aggression. So that's actually physically fighting and injuring someone's body. Social aggression, not one we think of immediately, but when we gossip or hurt someone's feelings or threaten their relationships, that is social aggression. So we've got a couple of kids gossiping here. Probably pretty familiar with that one. There's hostile aggression. So remember a couple modules ago, we talked about our emotions and how when we feel those emotions, there's an external event, our body changes, which in this case would be anger, boils up. And then we have a behavioral change, which is, in this case, aggression. So we want to injure someone because we're angry because of an external event. So it is a clear intent to injure someone. Instrumental aggression is when we're aggressive, but it's to get a thing. So here's a case of kids fighting over a toy. So they're being aggressive, not just to hurt someone, but so that they can get the toy. Like it's instrumental in that their end goal is to get the toy, not just to injure. Okay. So a couple of types of aggression and variants of it that are not really covered in your textbook, but I feel are important to mention. So I'm going to zoom in so you can look at this, are passive aggressive and assertive. So in my opinion, yes, aggression is bad, but I think passive aggression can be just as harmful. So it's when we're being emotionally, and I like this description, emotionally dishonest, like we're not being clear with how we feel. And we are maybe aggressive, but not admitting that it's because we feel a certain way. So we just kind of, lash out. We are very indirect with our aggressions. And then maybe at times also kind of deny that we were being aggressive. So I think it goes back to maybe cognitive dissonance, where we don't feel like being aggressive is okay, but we also feel a certain way. And we feel like we end up kind of lashing out. And so passive aggressive is kind of a way to rationalize that a little bit, because we are being aggressive, but we don't think being aggressive is okay. So we're experiencing that dissonance. So sometimes that manifests itself kind of as passive aggressiveness. Also assertiveness. So assertiveness is much healthier. We're being honest, like, hey, that hurt my feelings. We're not being catty about it, which would be kind of the more passive aggressive kind of way. And we're not being aggressive, like, you hurt my feelings, yelling at someone. Okay. So assertive is a healthy way to deal with your own emotions. So again, external event, we get angry. We have a couple ways to deal with it. If we don't deal with it directly, we may become passive aggressive. We don't address the problem. We just end up snapping at people or being, one of the other kinds of aggressive. Maybe we are socially aggressive or instrumentally aggressive, but we're never direct about it. Okay. Aggressive, we're angry and we lash out at them. Okay. So that could be physical aggression or the social aggression, but we are intentional with it. Like we know that's why we're doing it. We're not trying to cover it or be dishonest about it. Whereas assertive, the thing happened, we feel a certain way, and our behavior is, hey, your behavior made me feel this way. How do we fix that? Okay. So I think it's important to distinguish between those, because certain types of aggression, when it is healthy, can be more assertive, right? So we're approaching the problem, but we're doing it in a healthy, assertive way, not an aggressive way. So I want to be clear to distinguish those. And then this is an interesting term where we internalize aggression. So nemeism. Okay. We feel aggressive. So the thing happened, we feel angry, but instead of doing anything about it, we just turn it inwards. And like we talked about when we discussed emotions, that is not a healthy way to live. We're bottling up those feelings. We're not addressing the source of our frustration or our anger. And so it kind of corrodes us, like physically and mentally, when we keep those things inside. There's been a connection between kind of harboring those emotions and depression, and extreme guilt. Okay. So make sure, so it's important. I bring this up because it's important to understand that there's a healthy way to deal with aggression, or frustration and anger. Right. So where do we get this? Like, where does this all come from? Well, you got some theories to cover. Okay. Maybe it's genetic. Maybe it's survival. Maybe it's learned. Okay. All these theories are going to give you some options. We see it often in our society. We are often exposed to it. And when we are exposed to it in a repetitive way, it becomes normalized. So it's just a thing that we see all the time. So imagine, growing up in a place that is more violent, like that's going to become normal. It's going to become a behavior that you just expect. And then you are going to be more aggressive because you've seen it, because it's normalized, versus living in a place where it's pretty peaceful. Maybe there is no conflict, or only healthy conflict. So we have, our culture and our lifestyle, and where we are impacts how we view violence and aggression, and how we engage with it. Okay. If we are violent and aggressive or not. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. And then we're going to cover most of this in class. We're going to talk more about this. So now that you have those terms, you can approach the chapter, hopefully with a little bit better foundation. Okay.